Thank you, Margarita, so much, Anna, as well, and everybody for this very warm welcome. I'm very happy to be here. I'm from Finland. Originally, I also, can't say I'm French Canadian, but I'm Canadian from Montreal, as well as Finnish. So I have this kind of way of culture. I have many French colleagues and fellow students in Montreal when I studied, and I kind of like the type of part what was me was quirky thinking. It was different from Anglo-Saxon, different American. So I had never lived in France. I rarely come here just to visit, but I really appreciate the French traditions of thinking. I think we need more alternatives, more of that now in this world. So for me, as well as being here and if we don't have clear answers, nobody knows what's going on when it comes to technology and AI. Out there, we are making our future. So nobody has answers. And I find the higher I go in organizations trying to talk to people, the more people tend to evade. They don't know, they don't have, they are uncomfortable talking about the topic. So many people, let's say in big banks, the higher up you go, I try to interview these people. They first of all, they want to see the questions ahead of time. They are uncomfortable asking unplanned questions. And I have a shaky feeling of, there is something in here that we should be worried about in the sense that we are shaping the future and that we shouldn't be hiding our non-knowledge and ignorance. If academics often they pretend to know things they don't know. And now I'm talking against a bit my profession here, but let's be a bit more humble. And especially with AI, I mean, in academia, we tend to be marketing, like you were saying, marketing, finance, departments, and people are like expert in human resources, and then very comfortable with that whole word. Although I think some people have boxed into science. But I think AI invites us to simply what is to be human. No, I'm so sorry.
Can you talk a bit closer? Online, they don't hear.
Sorry, so thank you for telling.
Or a bit louder.
Yeah. So we need to think differently what it is to be human. Like if we don't know what to do with technology, if we have such a poor understanding what it is to be human. And this is, of course, a culture question, a philosophical question, religious question, a spiritual. It's not only a matter of organizations or technology department or something like that. So in my school, at Stockholm School of Economics, students still tend to think that tech, AI, that's the other school, the technical university somewhere else, some other countries. So very few people, well, many use these tools, but few think about it. What is it? What is behind it? So that's my invitation to business students and everybody really try to be curious and play around and try to understand the essence of these technologies. So that's my background. And that's the picture of my school, Stockholm School of Economics. So I have a background. I'm not an academic in identity fully because I have a long career as an IT project management and program manager at Ericsson, which is a telecommunications firm. I used to work at a big R&D center in Stockholm. So I had to figure out the technology without having engineer background. So I've been involved in technology for a very long time, but as from a bit of an outsider perspective and learned by doing. So I have been recently doing a series of studies on how AI affects work life in general and relations not only between humans and the tech, but between humans. So we introduce AI, it actually also changes the dynamic between humans. So it's something we need to think about. And then I'm just going to throw certain ideas here. It's like kind of where my right now. So AI, the word itself is problematic. Is it intelligence? I'm not sure. And artificial intelligence, that sounds scary, really, but we cannot change the term anymore. But artificial intelligence as a combination of two words is problematic. Yuval Noah Harari talks about alien intelligence. I don't think that's a better. You still have to keep the word intelligence, but alien makes you a bit, ooh, let's be careful. So let's be careful with the term. So, and often organizations, they often adopt AI without understanding the fundamentals of it or the change it triggers in the organization. So people that just like, they think this is yet another tech project and they throw it in and then people start using it. This is not a good thing because the changes it produces are gradual. There's no revolution going on. Revolutions happen fast. This is slow, a change in slow motion, but it's still profound. So that is a big problem. The organizational changes that are happening and people are not really following it up as such.
So also, there's no AI, there's no entity, a thingy out there called AI. The applications projects, it's a big network of things, projects out there. So there's no an AI, it's a plural. So think about that. So then my research perspective is to cultivate this just interest in embeddedness. And it's a technical term for research, but it's when humans and tech are so embedded, you cannot separate them anymore. So instead of studying humans using tech, that's the positivist view. I use resources. It's resources. I mean, we are all entangled, embedded. So we can no longer separate human from the tech. So my personal inspiration, again, going back to Montreal Times, with Bruno Latour's work, when this crazy French guy tried to explain how a doorknob is an actor, an actant in a society. To me, that was a hilarious text. Like, he has beautiful texts written that really challenge people's thinking. And they're very, very rare to find these people who can do this. Like, really, like, he must have sounded like a crazy person in the 70s and 80s when he studied his work. Like, a doorknob or a seatbelt is an actor, an actor, and a social actor. But we are embracing this now. These technologies are actors. They have agency. They are doing things, and often we don't even know what it is. They are influencing our behavior without us thinking about it. So these algorithms, the sequences of ones and zeros, these programs or probabilistic mathematical models, what they really are. I look at you because I know you are in econometrics. That's what they really are, essentially. Some sort of agency, but no morals, no feelings, no consciousness, and so on. But they are doing things, but not with intention. So like when we say they are doing things, they are not doing anything. They are just programs, but we don't even have the right type of vocabulary to talk about these things in such a way that it would induce a psychological error in terms of if you don't have intentions, and an algorithm doesn't have an intention, but we still kind of as if it had, and it influences our own thinking.
I'm sorry, just.
No, do the people online now hear me, or do I still have a?
It's all right there.
Online they hear, yeah.
Sorry for the.
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy you came. So I'm just trying to get through how to think about technology. So when I say in talking about future, we make future, that's like from research, epistemological or philosophical perspective, it's no longer positivist. It's no longer the world where humans control things. It's not the Cartesian view. It's the social constructivist approach. Like, the future is out there, it's in the making, and we all have our understanding what AI is. And AI is different in all places, but together we kind of still embrace. And technology is human-made too. It's not a thing out there. It's our baby. It's our product. It's something we have come up with. It doesn't exist in the nature as an independent thing, and it all comes together. So this is kind of what I say here, very difficult for management scholars or for the journals, or because it's very hard to start showing causality or relations or correlations or prove anything like this. And we are then in a terrain of, well, I don't know much. So it goes more into art or craft or something like that. And many people are uncomfortable with that. But that's my take. That's how I like to take a look at it, because I like to look at it from a bigger perspective instead of thinking of marketing, finance, economics, macroeconomics, but thinking of it, how should we think about what is being human and what is the essential nature philosophical of this technology. So there's this performativity. So while doing things, we actually perform things and stuff happens as an outcome, and those outcomes are real. How does this matter then? That's the question. I don't know, but it does matter, especially given the specialization and the concentration of power in certain companies right now who control the AI. it's just the way, even if you want to translate, you're like, I get my spell check sometimes now done by AI, it turns it into the American spelling of French, I would say, of English. And I'm upset. I don't want to have the commas that way. I want to have it, because I'm like Canadian English is mix of American and that's my English, and it's legitimate English. But the way this is done, we are like kind of being culturally, ideologically brainwashed in a subtle ways. And I'm angry about that. I'm angry about that since I lived in Montreal. And that's a long time ago, but I'm back in Europe. I don't want to see that back here. I want us to think about it. And for us in today's context is Europe. It used to be more like Nordics because I'm a very proud Nordic person. Because when I lived in Montreal, I was, many people came to at the school, I should say, they're going to say to me, you have such a great, Nordic management style. And later, I had no idea. I never had knowledge. Nobody ever taught me while living in Finland and Sweden that we have something special going on. I had to go to Montreal to be taught by an Algerian-born, professor in Montreal that, well, actually Scandinavian management style is something special. So this is take a bit of distance from your own culture. It's really good for you. But this is my personal position right now. So it's cultural, it's ideological, and it's political as well, what we are doing. So one of my topics of my research is anthropomorphism. It's impossible to pronounce. Anthro comes from the man or human, and morphism is to give shape. So we give shape to something and it gives us its shape back. So it's two ways of understanding it. But we have done this since forever. Humans have imagination. And that's our special feature as human beings. It's part of humanness, having imagination. It can be bad, good, crazy. You can do good or bad, whatever. We create stories. But we do that. It's an essential thing of being human. And we anthropomorphize technology, and especially if you don't understand it. So AI, we give it human form in our heads because we don't understand it. And it's normal to us. We have religions, we have beliefs, we believe in all kinds of things. And that's one of the things. So I don't know if you guys know this Mori's work. Yeah, so to me, this is another like Latour and Mori. He was this Japanese, I can imagine this guy, this Japanese engineers in 1970s, engineer, okay? Trying to think of it, what happens in the human brain psychologically when technology starts to look like humans. And to me, this is a great, it also like broke my thinking in a way that we kind of like technology if it looks a bit like us. There's some human cutie, like little robotic, pets or those things. But when it starts to look too much like us, like the great creepy hand in Adam's Family, that is exactly like a human hand, but it's a standalone thing, that becomes freaky, or Frankenstein. So these are like, these myths, they travel in our collective imaginary. When it becomes too much like us, it becomes scary. And of course, if technology will be exactly like human one day, then perhaps we get used to it, but I doubt it. But we are a bit in this type of different people live this differently. Those who know the technology, they don't give it so much of mystery. But it's very few of us are expert of IA technology. For them, it's kind of technology because they understand it. So the people in Silicon Valley and organizations, those who code and those who design these things, they don't do it they don't think like that. But us normal people who are not able or are not interested in it, we tend to imagine what it is. And that's, to me, it's an important thought. How much would we think of tech as humans? If you think your dog is your baby, I think it's less dangerous. It's your personal affective life, or if your boat is female, usually, I don't know, or car can be some sort of, how do you say, replacement for a woman or for some men. I don't know. But we do give gender, sex, and imaginary status, humanized status to things. But I think it's much more dangerous here, something we should be stopping that we do this with this technology. And of course, Hollywood has helped us to create all kinds of imaginaries. I really haven't watched Star Trek and Star Wars. I fall asleep. But usually it's scary, these movies, this AI. Sometimes usually it's a scary thing that is a destructive force in all these movies. So people have this polarized understanding. And Hollywood has helped us to shape these imaginaries, and they are very real. So at one time, I interviewed a CEO of a big company, and he was pushing technology in the company. He was this, his employees call him a propeller head. I don't know if you have that term in French, or even if that's proper English. This type of person who goes and invents things all the time, like that, like someone a geek, okay, inventor, some crazy inventor, And he went around and he talked about his chatbots. He was introducing AI. It's like it was a baby, a human, something like it was like I was looking. It was so strange. This Finnish man, like Finns are not often very expressive. It's just like talking about it as it was like a thing, and it was very strange. But I'm sure he was reading all this Asimov books when he was young and watched these all Hollywood things, and it's in his imaginary. And he can do great things, but then he wasn't living in reality of his organization, of what the other organization members were dealing with this fully functioning tech. So he was already somewhere else in the future, but he was a manager as well. So there was this problem with his lovely propeller head. But it clearly he sounded like a child. So I think it comes from this Hollywood thinking. And then the other thing is that when I do this sometimes for fun, if you Google AI and humans, well, Google gives us these type of pictures. It's like there is nothing, it doesn't exist, this thing. It can be a robot. The robots can exist in physical form, but there is not human and technology. It's not like, it doesn't exist like that. So we are given tools to think because it's so hard to imagine. Hence, we are flooded with this type of images. And then there's problem is what? Polarization, the big topic in the world today, polarization. So there are some, her research is lovely, Susanna Schultz. So both about who has been warning us against surveillance capitalism for the longest time. And then there is Harari's work. You may like him or not, but he also gives a kind of scary understanding of what future could be. And then there is these people who then write about AI in the future. Its progress, it's brilliant, it's amazing, it's gonna solve all our problems. None of this is true alone. So all the literature as well, books or even articles, tend to be polarized. Is it a tool or is it Anna with Anand, we had this debate. He facilitated, is AI a tool or is it a colleague? Because some people say it's a colleague, it's not a chat, it becomes in your head your best friend. We have AI girlfriends, boyfriends, I don't know, best friends, psychologists. So is it a tool or is it so it's nice to have these polarizing topics and think about it in that way, just to stretch our thinking. Just to start conversations, because it's neither. None of this is true alone. But this is how it is these days. It's polarized understandings. And then we go back in the history. This is a French picture. I actually didn't think about it. It's a medieval picture of a Petit Bernard or something here. So there was like some meat here rolling, and it's kind of make believe that this Bernard is actually making the meat. Turning the wheel, so actually the meat books. So again, we have lived with this technology and humans for a long time. Does anybody know this book, The Machine Stop by Forster? Well, have you seen the movie The Room with the Wheel? O2? Anyhow, so it's this novelist who lived 100 years ago, and he imagined a utopia. I love artists here. We need more artists. 100 years ago, where human beings are plugged into a big machine and are dysfunctional without the machine. And when the machine stops, well, it's the end of it. But it's a wonderful novel, just because it was done such a long time ago. So at the early Industrial Revolution, the machines that were introduced, the Fordism, the factories, and he could see he was actually making imaginary future where humans are plugged into technology instead of a big machine not being able to function anymore. So it's just the power of the imagination again. So with my colleagues, we have this research. It's not published at this point, but we are working on it. In one company, actually in a bank, we came up with this 4 different archetypes of different employees in this one company, a bank. People working in the same company. Some people would think of this AI chatbot as a fool. Others, it's a villain. For others, it's a baby. And for others, it's a hero. So this is a reality. And of course, I'm simplifying here. But imagine they are working together. They are working with totally different realities. So to me, this is a fascinating observation. Does the bank, do the bank bosses know or care? I don't know. I would care. It's a change being happening there. And actually, the bank is now becoming a tech company. So when I talk to the technology in the bank, they are saying, well, they are hiring more of tech people, less customer service people are being fired. And the bank is actually becoming a tech, I'm looking at you, a tech operation, a technological firm. But at the time of the research, we could see this type of prototypes, how they characterize AI. So just in a scale, some people would say AI is a colleague, and other it's a tool. So you would situate somewhere in this field. Some people would avoid AI, others would happily collaborate. And others would think AI is incompetent, usually those who have to work with it and think with all the bugs and dysfunctionalities. And others say, wow, it's amazingly competent, usually managers who would like to replace their employees with machines and who think it's so cool. And some people, usually the customer service people, say AI cannot replace me, I have very good customer contact, I'm very good. And others, everybody should fear AI, typically tech people. The closer to tech, more you think like this. But it creates a bizarre universe of working life where more or less customer service people are clustering here. And then there is this AI trainers, like those customer service agents who are now training the AI, fancy name for transferring the knowledge to a machine, to outsource the job you were doing. We're thinking a bit like this, colleague, because they were working daily with it, it's kind of colleague. I'm thinking it's competent, yeah, because they are working with it. They are making it better, so they feel I'm doing a real job and it's becoming more competent. And then the change orchestrators, meaning the tech people, the top people, they are somewhere in between. So older, far away approach by the people who know the tech and who are high up in the management. What do you make of this? We have a messy research project. So here, these are situated, the different ones. So full, that's how we kind of came up with these categories. So we are one marketing person, somebody from human resources. Me, I'm more like general management scholar. And there's one person who's working with supply chains. We are all working on this project, and now we are in a fight. So it was in a deadlock because we don't agree with that. Just to say how difficult it is to make this multidisciplinary project, just within even the same profession. Right? So I want to give this to the marketing person because she's the most creative. She's the one who actually looked this picture. Her name is Martina Chant. So, but I don't know. She's married to the supply guy person, so I don't know. So it's getting very complicated. Anyhow, just to say that it's pretty difficult to interpret this. But I think it's a lovely project and it's a beautiful observation, but it's unpublished. So to me, then chatbots are as amplifiers human affects feelings in organizations. And of course, to me, theories are kind of stories as well. So just thinking about them as such. This is from our existing research where we went to a place where there was a problem with the employees who were supposed to use the chatbot or AI and the manager. So there was tension already between them. They felt there's too much change all the time. They change my tools. You treat me badly. You don't understand how much work I put. You don't understand my job. I had to work with the customers, be billable, and at the same time, I had to be teaching with AI and using it. I don't have time, and I'm upset with you because you constantly come with new tools and you upset me. And this was also like middle-aged ladies, so a problem. And these were, of course, these young males who were saying like, okay, there's always a resistance to change, like the theory as a myth. Of course, it's true. There's always resistance to change, but it's kind of off the shelf solution to explain something. It's easy, it's lazy. And also the middle-aged females don't understand tech, which they were really upset about because they work in media industry. If you have been working there for 30 years, you have gone through so many changes in media. So you cannot be tech resistant. But there's some truth to that as well. So when they put in this bot, And they actually call it a robot, so they only humanized it. So they made it into a physical thing, so they call it a robot. So they loved the bot and they hated the bot, and then the relation get more tense. So that's what happened. So actually, it was not so much what is this bot doing, because it's there, it's being implemented, it's being improved. It's the relation between these, and it's also simplified, got sour and worse and bad. And now many of these people, they left. I actually follow up with the company, and this CEO and his CTO, guess what happened? But American company bought this Finnish company and replaced the management and the tools with the big multinational companies too. So they are no longer even. I love this morbid endings. But just to say, like, this is what was going on. We were there 2 years doing this research until COVID. And yeah, scapegoating. So we have these traditional old myths for biblical times from all kinds of religions that we always find a scapegoat. So we give the sins or the problems to something, and then we start all over again. Yeah, we make a sacrifice. René Girard is a French anthropologist, I think. I don't know this, but I really like these research ideas. That it has come from religion already, that we have this scapegoating mechanism. So I give the guilt to that thing and make a sacrifice, and then we start over again. So the AI can easily become a scapegoat. It's the fault of the tech, it's for the management, it's fault of the employees, where none of this is really true. And this is a piece of research we have now under review. How much time do we have? Okay, good. So I love this piece because it combines my anthropological inclinations with the solid interview research. I say solid because I'm not conditioned to only interviews or quant methods are solid. Anthropology and observations and own experience are not. But it started by, this is my bank spot. I've been the customer of these banks for my 50 years. I was 5 when I became a customer of the bank, and the bank has changed names or ownership, but I always, so this is affective relation. I also lived in different countries, but my dad used to work for that bank, and it's an affective relation. I only have affection. I remember my dad. I remember I was 5. I went to the bank and I didn't know how to sign my name, so I put a cross and I had a little booklet where my savings were. So I have this affective relation to this bank. And they started to put this bot. And what is a chatbot? In a banks in Nordics, we are quite advanced in this type of technologies, usually. So this bank is conservative, but it was early into these chatbots. And I realized, of course, what they are doing, they are outsourcing customer service to customers themselves, right? So it becomes self-service. And then this chatbot is like, they call it a service agent. It's not a service agent. It's a self-service mechanism. It's certainly like an automatic bank tellers. It's just a different form of self-service. So I started observing it, and taking little notes. What's happening to the bot? How is it evolving? And playing with it. Can I please close my child's account? You cannot do tasks like that with a bank. Doesn't want you to close account. Then they want you to call them. But you can buy funds. So I was like playing around with it a lot, taking my notes, and that was my research. And then we got research access to this company through her. And here we have this other Martina Tides, the one who drew this nice picture from the earlier slide, and Janne Tienari. So she had contacts with the bank. It's really hard to go do research in a bank. In the US, it's impossible. They don't even pick up your mail ever. But we got this access. So we got what we wanted to know is what's behind the bot. That was a research question. It's crazy. It's very open-minded research question. But it's interesting. What is happening? Because I'm a former IT project manager, so I see the project behind. Who the heck is running this project? Like, how is it going there? Knowing already from the background, this is going to be messy, and it's a bank. They can make mistakes. They have legal requirements. They have compliance. They have EU, road regulation. They cannot leak customer data because they are dead if they start doing this. Even in a bank, different departments. If you work in a corporate, you don't know what the private bank is. There are firewalls inside the company. So I figured this is very interesting. So we started talking slowly, softly, first to the, those who are, the person who is in charge of this chat, it's a product in the bank. So it's chatbot product manager, and then the format manager, and then the AI head, technology head, and then the customer service agent, and the AI trainers, and snowballing. And lead. And then we started finding like legal experts and tech experts, a tech department. Like tech people would say, I don't actually like working in a bank. Like if you're a tech person, you don't want to work in a bank. You have so many restrictions. But he said, I have a good living here. It's kind of nice to be around and nice package. And, you get the banking advantage. It's a really good salary because, you're in a good spot. But they don't really, it's not a dream job for a tech person to work in a bank. It's a dream job for a lawyer. And they have more and more lawyers because each change to this technology to the customer chatbot has to go through a lawyer. Doesn't sound too much fun, but that's what it was. And when we interviewed the lawyer, then we started having difficulty in getting interviews. Or interviews started telling, why are you asking this question? So I guess the lawyer warned these researchers, what are they doing? They are asking questions, because you're asking what the purpose, how it feels, what's going on. It's like spies, like asking things like that. So the project was stopped, but we only had like 70 interviews by then. And I had tracked the bots, like ethnographic work, interactions with the bank bot and other bots. Like often bots are female, right? Service chatbots are often female. Because females are like better at service, so they give it the female form. So that's why it became a gender story. So it's basically the evolution of a customer service chatbot, and based on the ethnography and the interviews. So we examine human AI entanglement, meaning they are not humans and tech, they are entangled, they are all mixed up, they are all like cannot distinguish one from the other around an AI chatbot in a financial institution. So we looked into how employees make sense of the chatbots, evolution over time, visual and conversational design changes. So it was not purposeful, like it was not like strategic, but it kind of happened over time to change. So there was a shift from feminized servile human-like chatbot to a more neutral, less personified interface as a technology evolved. So they are teaching us how to, the bank is trying out the tech through the chatbot. And as it becomes better, we get used to using it as customers, as users, then the human is no longer kind of needed. And it's it's not a revolution, it's a slow evolution. So it's kind of relational lens then to what happens between humans and the tech and how the human and feminine form are used to introduce a technology to then take it out when we are all ready for it. Because usually, people wanted to pick up the phone and talk to your bank advisor. I'm still from the generation, I had my personal bank advisor, and that's a big change when you just then are talking to bots or leave your message in somewhere and you don't have your bank advisor anymore. Today, like young people don't want to even talk to bank advisors, humans anymore, but it's like there has been a shift and it has been gradual. So the change was happening in three phases. So first, the bot had human and feminized visual appearance. When you go to, in France or somewhere, there's a hotel I went, there's female form still a figurine, very professional, very young, slim, beauty. And then in the next phase, they took out the human form. So it became the boot look. Because I guess in Nordics, it became a big problem of disgendered jobs and all that. So it's no longer appropriate to assess a female form with servile and all that. But there's also the fact that the human no longer was needed to seduce the customers to use the bot. The job was already done. They were already hooked. But it still had this servile type of, what else can I do for you? This type of tone when you this very servile. I'm still so junior, please forgive me, like this very female servile type of thing, humanized way of setting back, but the form look was our bots. And in the end, then it became like really efficient. Just straight to the point, the question, it was just a whole, like you just like Siri. So the whole is taking out and it has become like a technology talking back to it. And for us, it's normal. it has become kind of normal to us that it behaves like this. But it's interesting to follow this evolution when you know what's going on there. So, and there's no more human contact. I don't know what to make it. Is it a problem? Yeah, is it? Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah.
So I'm curious, so these three phases, what are the main factors that provoked the transition from one phase to another? That is, because from what I understand, the phases are different levels of anthropomorphism.
Yes, yeah.
But what provokes the banks, users, or designers shifts in their degree of anthropomorphism on the conversational and visual?
I think they did it ongoing. And first of all, first phase, what you want is to have this bank teller that's advised the bot to look as much as a human one as possible. So there's a familiarity. So it's a seduction phase, you know. So the look was like this. That was the purpose. So it was presented as a hello, I'm a virtual advisor. Not an advisor, it's a chatbot. It's really cheating. It's tricking. It's a trickster. But okay, I understand that they need to start, somewhere. And as the technology advances, they start learning. We as users, we get used to it. They start understanding what it can do. The technology advances because for the technology to advance, people have to use it. So they have an army of people looking at people's behavior, responses to the bot, all the errors, everything, trying to understand where is this going. Because they have so many business opportunities. They have so much data about us. They know when you're, I don't know, when your parent dies, they know they could use you and sell you something. They know you're divorced, you have a separate, all that they could use, use it for all kinds of purposes. So there's a big ethical problem. Their banks have so much information about us. So they have to be very careful. So it's extremely fragile. There's lawyers involved. And to me, this is extremely fascinating. So there's a lot going on in here. Of course, the efficiency. So each quarterly results, I take a look how bank goes up and down. Well, this plays nicely into the bank's balance sheet because they keep on shedding human customer service agent. And in the last phase, I checked, they send a big advertisement to the customers saying that, look, we have become a tech company. Our chatbot, resolves 70% of all the customer queries. We are on the front line of technology. It's kind of like face off, the veil, they're taking the veil out. Look who I am, cuckoo, inside the box. So when people were ready for it, it became like first it was bad for their image, brand and all this. But when it became so successful and was so advanced, then they showed we are actually a technology company. So it's very tricky. I don't know, what do you think what's in the some of it is planned, but the bank shedding people has been there for a long time. Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering if you have results on customer reactions from the confirmation, expensive confirmation perspective. Because we know that when we manipulate anthropomorphism, we create expectations that should be met in the conversation. I don't know if you have results on customer reactions.
We don't have, and that's something we couldn't study. They wouldn't allow to study that, although we had marketing people in the team. But we could see like from the customer reaction, because then the customer service agents, which type of calls do they get? All along, they get not the calls from the very angry customers, idiot chatbots, whatever, stupid, and they reported that their job has become more demanding and more stressful because they only get to talk to about the difficult problems. You know, usually you can automate certain tasks, but we are not machines. So it's fun to have, you know, routine tasks and then creative. You can always be creative and on the edge or accelerating yourself. All this lingo we have in the business world, it's impossible. Humans are not designed like that. So they got only the difficult. They are getting only difficult calls, and they are still measured the same way. They say how many calls you have per day is how you're evaluated. And they couldn't anymore talk to the customer to make them really happy. They have to look at to jump onto them. So it has become like a machine operation. So humans are part of this machine, really. Well, I'm now exaggerating a bit, but we could tell that the customers, of course, and there are many kinds of customers. So my 16-year-old daughter is different from my mama, who is 82. So my daughter looks at me like you probably too, like a weird. Like why would I ever wanna have a personal relationship with anybody working in a bank? Or many people don't even have a bank, like old-fashioned bank. You just like fintech, or you know, like the banking is changing. Some people say that banking will be dead, you know, as it is today. I don't know. I'm not going into that, but yeah, the customer reaction, of course, is interesting. But that's why I often talk to people, and my experiences are of a middle-aged woman. But it really does are different to different people. But there is like a very capitalist system behind that, of course, the quarterly, you know, profits and all that. But it's also interesting. It's nice to go and if you lose your bank card, to go and close it right away. It's nice. Of course, it's good too, but it's not only good. And the profile undercurrent, the undertow, what's happening under the surface level is something we should be thinking about. So that's what I feel about it. I don't know how it is here. But it's probably very similar. I don't know how advanced, like how much France uses. In France, you use these technologies. I know in the Nordics we are very techy. We're talking to each other even before AI. So I think there's something to be lost for sure. Especially as it's not something we are thinking about, because I felt sorry for those customer service people, often middle-aged females, who are so dedicated to the bank that, you know, I'm doing a good job, and there's always gonna be jobs somewhere, but where? Oh, and then also for those customers who don't wanna be part of it. But the way this is happening, it has to do with our imaginaries, anthropomorphism, this type of humanizing things not human. And here it's for business purposes. But it's something we don't think about because we like to see ourselves as rational beings. You know, we are not that rational. This is crazy, really. If you think about it. Well, I see it as crazy. So there's a story to that. So of course we are scholars, so we have to build theoretical ideas, and this is when it becomes complicated because of course the reviewers would say exactly like, okay, you can explain all this with efficiency. Yeah, but how boring is that, you know? Cannot only explain that only with efficiency or only with, no, this is like a total phenomenon going on. So this is our argument that there's a phenomenon going on that goes beyond this type of course, there's efficiency, of course, there's customer reaction, of course, there's all kinds of things. And EU legislation, by the way, as well. You know, the EU AI Act. I don't know if anybody has read it. Has anybody read it? If you're interested in AI, read it. It's boring. It's difficult to understand. It's like, it basically says that the companies can deceive us. I have to know if I'm talking to a technology, if I'm dealing with a tech or human. There has to be a clear understanding. I cannot confuse people purposely. And I'm sometimes really tired, so I'm multitasking. 11 at night, I'm like transcribing interviews or chatting with my daughter, and then I'm booking a flight somewhere. And then I get confused. Am I talking to a bot when I'm, you know, booking my airline ticket, or is it human? My cables, they cross, and there's a moment of not knowing, and it has to do with the way we multitask and use social media, and I'm tired, and it blends in the brain at one point, and you're really, are you human? And I once typed in, yes, I'm human. I mean, I guess this person often gets this question, that it blends in our minds. And of course, these chatbots are humans in the sense that humans taught the tech. I mean, tech is human. So we taught that we programmed this technology to answer certain ways to certain questions. It's a decision tree or a language model. I don't know, but here it's like, that's something to think about when it mixes up in our brains. So is my chatbot girlfriend real or not? I don't know if it has, if you feel like it's real, if it makes you happy, I guess it's real. I don't know. But it's important philosophical question. So we say often that AI augments humans. So AI, it's a tool to enhance human abilities. But no, in this case, it's actually humans are enhancing AI. So think of it as simplistic phrases like, okay, AI augments humans, to think it's go both ways, and it's a more complicated. And in this case, clearly, well, people using it AI as a tool, but mostly over time, you can see that the purpose of humans was to help this technology become sufficiently good so humans are no longer. It's just it's not human-centric perspective. It's a tech-centric, it's a human plus or post-humanist type of reality we are facing. So we also how the humanized form and the female form, gendered form, is used, because females are often in the gender studies said to be you are the saint or you're the Mother Mary or you are the cheater or something like that. I don't remember what the two categories of prototypes of females are. It's using exactly this. First to seduce and then to deceive, and it's playing with this type of. And I'm not very strong feminist myself in this sense, but I think it is playing with the psychology of what is female in our society, and also what is human. Then I don't know who is going to study what human is in society after humans are gone. I don't know, but there's something that not only females are taking over the service job, but also human. So it becomes the same thing, really. So it's not like it's going to be a bright new post-technology, post-humanist future. I don't see it. There are scholars, Karen Barad, and well, there are feminists that both of this. They're like hopeful future. This is an opportunity to change. I'm sorry, I'm pessimist at this point, but that's why we are needed. You are needed because you're younger, and we need to think about these things together. So here we could see that humans are used as gender scaffolding, like construction. When you have a construction or the child has helping wheels in this little bicycle, you take it out when you no longer need it. So like these feminist AI personas as temporary supports, that is automation and labor displacement, which has its good parts as well, but that is what is going on. So we argue that dehumanization in this AI-mediated work is enacted relationally, morally, and effectively. So it has moral aspects, affective aspects. People still do have feelings. I'm still important. And moral questions. The top management, they know what's going on. Shouldn't they tell these other people too? Like, no, shouldn't this be like open for everybody? And plus relations are cut. So nobody's actually, the customer talks to you via it's chatbot or a phone or a chat where you have a human being. So it's always technology mediated, the relationship. So we no longer smell each other, which is a problem because as we know from communication theory, most human communication is nonverbal. We are missing on many things. How many times did you get messed up in your social relations by writing one type of emoji or chat, or it just went wrong? So that is what it means to think about what it is to be human. I don't know if it is enough of theorization for this research to be published in this journal. I hope so. So there are misunderstandings around AI, thinking about it. If I would talk to corporations, often they don't want to know. Like AI is often treated like a human colleague. That's a problem. That's something that is you need to be thinking about. So this type of Ananda facilitated this type of tool or a colleague and have a type of discussion in the room. Have people confront the idea. I think it's fine. But it's fundamentally a code, a probabilistic model. And it's because people don't understand or care to understand about tech or this different type of AI tools or in our professions in your daily. It takes time. I mean, you were saying like you were working with these tools, you have to try out, but what if it takes a lot of time, you have to be personally interested, otherwise you're not gonna do it. So these misconceptions lead to strange decisions and false expectations. Like if in a company you have people who think very differently of this AI, they have to still work together. And when they don't even go to the office anymore, at least in Sweden, there are many jobs that people hardly ever go to the office anyhow, then there are misconceptions, there are misaligned understandings, and I suppose alienation, depression, I don't know, problems, a lack of orchestration, collaboration, coordination, all these things that made us human. We were made to hunt together, to survive together on that savannah some 100,000 years ago. But we are not designed to live in this type of way. So management assumes automation is easy, and then think AI is an automation. It's more than that. So, and also oftentimes people top managers don't understand the real, what is a person doing, what the job is doing. Is it so easy to automate, and at what cost? So that's another problem. So listen to the people who actually do the job. Then AI creates extra work and stress instead of saving time. It can also save time, but we know it's the old thing in technology project is that 80% of them fail or underperform. It's the same thing for AI. It's not different in that sense. But we could avoid much of this by putting more interest into the implementation, the daily of the users of these technologies. And then there are tense work environments that worsen outcomes. There are many, I don't know if from this school, many go to work in consultancies. From my school, many do. And where juniors go in as junior level consultants, they don't know how to use AI. They hide it, they are not certain, they feel insecure. The senior consultants, they know the job, so they're more confident. But what is the value of a job? You have to learn the job. And if basically your job is what an AI can do, like in a legal firm or, I don't know, sort of Accenture type of firm, then it creates us insecurities. I know because I have lots of students, I speak with them, and that's how they feel. So these big companies, they tend to not have any clear guidelines or take this human aspect of how do your juniors learn the job into account. Yeah, and then the problem is human resources or whatever they call it, the culture and organization departments. They are often not on board. They often don't understand. They don't get involved. I don't know why that is, but that's a fact. So usually when I talk to the HR department, it's like the most boring and useless interview because nothing comes out of it. I don't want to be insulting, but basically I think they should get more involved. That function in companies should get more involved. So lack of preparation causes implementation issues, and AI project often fail due to organizational misunderstandings and lack of preparedness. And these are like boring words, but I think intervention is there. Most people who work with this type of projects, they know this is a problem, and so why I always I look what's happening in the news media, and I look at the company, and if there's a big AI innovator or something, I'm kind of curious what's behind it, what's really happening. So back to the scapegoat issue then. That is the problem. I like to slide this. I have another idea to do a piece of research on the scapegoating of the religious mechanism of scapegoating, explaining why do an IT project fail. We can see from the beginning it's not going to work. And what happens in the organization, people avoid taking a decision and we have to stop it or do something and they just don't do it. And I think these religious theories are really good, like this. So it's in my mind with the Venezuela. Yeah. So looking ahead, yeah, so the future is not predetermined here. It's not, there's no linear progression. It's up to us a lot. I think AI can support meaningful work if used well. So, but I think this idea of we should see AI as a powerful tool we shape because it's a man-made thing and that shapes us back, all of us, individually and collectively. And there is an ongoing cultural change, but it's a big meta-level change that makes us step up. We should step out from our little type of niche. I'm an IT expert, I'm a finance. To say that AI shape our culture, like technology is male. We were talking about this earlier. Technology is inherently male because there are very few women in these tech jobs. And this is a problem in Silicon Valley. And I don't know, problem overall, but there's very, very low female representation. So the tech is designed by males for males. And I'm not saying a judgment on that, but that's a fact, that's a worrisome thing. So, and then AI shaping our culture back as well. So it's shaping us back, this embeddedness, that it is shaping the way we communicate, like it's really rare be in the same room. And these are just two level of problems.
That's very interesting. Have you looked into the work of Marshall McLuhan in the 60s about how communication media shape us as much as we shape them, and the interactions between man and machine is a mutually influencing process, that the way we think and talk and communicate
The
is
media.
shaped by the tools we use in media studies, but he goes beyond media actually to talk about it.
What's the name of the person I have?
Marshall McLuhan. He was in Canada actually. He was in was it
University of Montreal, I think.
I think so. Yeah, he's a great icon in media studies, and he was a precursor of this idea that the tools we use shape the way we think and communicate.
Yeah, it's a more sociological, broader perspective.
It's a more sociological and psychological perspective of how, and because you talk about the knob having.
It's a breaking moment for me.
That
like,
sounds very much like a McLuhan statement.
I think it must come from the same.
School of thought, yeah. He's probably at the origins of this tradition of understanding tools as shaping the tool maker and tool user, as much as being an object, being also a kind of a subject in this interaction. I think it's worth looking at his work.
Yeah, going to these old thinkers, because there's a lot to be gained from that thinking, because it's not modern. It's not something that.
And because there's a cognitive dimension. I mean, he was very interested in media and cognition and the way we think, the way we process information. So I think there's interesting archaeology to be done with his work in the 1960s.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I want to go back on both also on this point, because there is a French sociologist who inspired many guys in the Silicon Valley. It's René Girard.
And he's the guy with the mimetic theory, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So
I know
it's
that
really
that's-
fundamental for some of these tech guys.
Okay, whether I have a thing with French thinkers. I just don't, they are not on my map because of my schooling is in North America mostly, and then Nordic, so thank you for that, yeah.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and I really found interesting when you say, what is now technology and what is now human, because indeed it's very confusing, where is the end of human, where is the beginning of technology. I was wondering, when we're talking about our relationship with bots and AI, the question of trust. Because true, and there are studies that show, depending on our background, we trust humans more, we trust technology more. Interestingly, sociologists trust technology and engineers trust humans. They don't know what they're talking about, I guess. But years ago, I was working on trust in virtual teams and looking at cognitive trust and effective trust.
Yeah.
At the time, we were talking about humans, and the idea was that we have to have effective trust when we develop personal relationships to trust. What about today and AI? And it would have been as simple as that to say we cannot have relationship with that, but I know that PhD students of the center, they even welcome people being in love with AI. So apparently, yes, humans can have relationship with AI. So what's your take on that? This developing, effective trust and trust in machines, and what is the future of that? How it's going to affect our relationship with the bots?
I would love to know more, because to me that's something that most management scholars are not looking into. Exactly that. What is even trust?
Yes.
Can you? Because the humanness is played into this machine, and it's there already. And this, I reviewed a paper recently with cognitive and affective. I was thinking, why do you? Isn't trust just a big feeling? You trust or not? So it's not that logical. Yeah, it's not like this and that, and then you measure it. I suppose they have a scale for everything, and And to me, that's understanding what is then trust again. Because I know from VR studies, I have also a PhD student who's doing good work on this, trust young people, how to use this augmented reality. It depends how much you trust the technology, the way you use it, and then it affects you back. And there are ways of.
But now it's becoming modern technology. I mean, again, the studies when people say that they're in love and they call AI their partners, some of them get married with AI, this kind of thing. So it's causing this, I trust technology. It's more like you trust this other.
But this is changing our society, it's a culture change. If people trust more like, these cases of you asking AI, psycho advice, and then they say, I'm going to commit suicide, or I think you have an issue, or I think you need to do this. Taking advice from these machines.
Yes.
And to me, this is something we need to study more about. And just these big topics like trust instead of virtual teams. So just trust. What is it? What is the nature of trust? And apply to this current situation. And that's why I like to go to this religious studies. This basically human anthropology, even brain waves, studying how you react when you use this curve. When you interact with this, sorry, I just have a terrible mind, I suppose, but I think it's a societal problem if you don't think about it more, and if you don't involve our students, business schools, in this thinking and in these questions, and if we don't have tech in our curricula, because usually IT students are sitting there and they are the weirdos, and then there's the finance, they are on the top of the building, and in our school, the finance top of it, and then it's economists, and we are in a different building, and we are the bottom hierarchy of the school. I've been told this, management is like leadership is and it should be perhaps the other way, or I don't know, I don't care, but that's how it is. So I don't know, but I find it interesting. And thank you for bringing it up.